At Sierra, discover great deals on top brand workout gear, like high-quality walking shoes, which might lead to another discovery.
40,000 steps, baby. Who's on top now, Karen?
You've taken the office step challenge a step too far. Don't worry, though. Sierra also has yoga gear. It might be a good place to find your zen. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Checking off the boxes on your to-do list is a great feeling. And when it comes to checking off coverage, a State Farm agent can help you choose an option that's right for you. Whether you prefer talking in person, on the phone, or using the award-winning app, it's nice knowing you have help finding coverage that best fits your needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon. Sometimes the most painful part of getting sick is the getting better part. Waiting on hold for an appointment, sitting in crowded waiting rooms, standing in line at the pharmacy, that's painful. Amazon One Medical and Amazon Pharmacy remove those painful parts of getting better with things like 24/7 virtual visits and prescriptions delivered to your door. Thanks to Amazon Pharmacy and Amazon One Medical, healthcare just got less painful.
Welcome to YATESY'S ESPRESSO BAR.
Hello and welcome to 1865, the Nottingham Forest podcast. It's Rich here and I'm joined by the Maradona of the Midlands. Just before we go any further, Maradona, how are things with you and how are you enjoying the start to the season?
Yes, it's been quite enjoyable so far, hasn't it? The Brentford game was really good. And then the Crystal Palace game, maybe not reached quite the heights of that Brentford game, but we finished it strongly, which has left a positive vibe throughout the week, I think. And then all the transfers and things, they were all very exciting. And the only dark cloud were Nuno's comments, I suppose.
Yeah, but as you very sagely pointed out, there's always something, isn't there, as a football fan? There's always something going on.
Well, it's always especially at Forest. We can't seem to just go on a nice happy journey. It's always some sort of self-destruct button seems to get pressed somewhere or other. Maybe it happens at every club, and we just notice it more because it's at Forest, where there's sort of such huge, vast amounts of money involved now, and egos and everything. Maybe it happens everywhere, but it's a bit of a pity that it had to happen at Forest right now.
Well, football is a business rather than just a sport these days, and I'm sure that we'll end up coming back to some of those themes a little bit later on. Just while I was waiting for you to arrive, I order myself something I've never had before, an espresso martini. So I'm going to have a sip of that while we go over to the 1865 news desk. Oh, bloody hell, that's disgusting.
Hi, it's Emilka here, bringing you the news while making oat milk cappuccinos. Your top Forest stories this week. Forest have been drawn to play Swansea City away in the third round of the Carabao Cup. The last time they played down in South Wales was a memorable one for the Reds fans, as they saw Forest canter to a fine 4-1 away win against Russell Martin's toothless Jack Army. It remains to be seen how high a priority this will be for Forest, what with the Europa League football, which takes us to our next story. By the time you are listening to this, we should know who we are playing in the Europa League. The format is a bit complicated, but there are 36 teams in the league phase, and Forest will hope to automatically qualify for the knockout rounds by finishing in the top 8. Come on, you Reds! Breaking news now with the launch of Forest's new third kit. If the away shirt is all about light shades and detail, then the new apparel is an evil cousin, predominantly in navy, albeit with red trim. Of course, the away kit was debuted at Crystal Palace at the weekend, in a game dominated by a talk of Nuno, CAS and that banner by the home fans. Do check out our match report with Stephen and Tom and a view from home fans Jay and Dan. Last but not least, the domestic transfer window only has a few days to go. We know that Nuno wants a keeper and a pair of fullbacks, but there may be players out as well, with the likes of Giotto and Taiwo prime candidates to be moved on. West Ham have an interest in Ibrahim Sangare, but it remains to be seen whether Forest can be persuaded to part with the Ivorian midfielder. And with that, I'm off to fire up the coffee grinder, so I'll hand you back to Rich and Maradona.
You're listening to 1865, the Nottingham Forest podcast.
Thank you very much to you, Emilka. And what I'm going to do, Maradona, is I want to start with the breaking news, I guess, and we knew it was coming. But at the time of recording, we've just had notification of the Forest third kit being launched. And so basically we've got a red kit, we've got a light kit and a dark kit. It's like going back to the old days of playing football down the park, isn't it? Lights or darks. What do you think of the kit at first glance?
It's okay. I know.
You're totally the wrong person to ask, aren't you?
It's a polyester shirt with some printing on it, maybe. But no, it's. I've seen that there's already been quite an excited reaction from some people. There are nods to the Nottingham Trent University art department in there, and things like that. So yeah, it's fine. As you say, it sort of passed me by these days. I maybe reached a higher state of consciousness now where materialistic goods have no meaning to me, but other people are very excited about it, and it looks nice enough. But I won't remember what it was. If you ask me a year from now what our away kit was like this season, I won't be able to tell you.
Well, I mean, it's also worth noting that last season's away shirt was predominantly navy with some pink trim. And then obviously in the season we got promoted. In fact, when we beat Swansea City 4-1 away, we were wearing a navy and pink kit then. As you mentioned, there is a nod to a little bit of Nottingham heritage on the away kit. This is from the Facebook group 1865 Red Army, a post by Michael Johns. And the imagery is a nod to the Nottingham School of Art and Design, which is now part of Nottingham Trent University. The colour scheme of navy and salmon pink is a reference to the university's colours. The sofa pictured and the lamp was very much at the forefront of interior design in that era, but and 1973 was the year that David Lewis, a lecturer from the Nottingham School of Art and Design, won a competition to design Forest's current badge. And Michael finishes off, it's not just another kit, it's a very deliberate nod to our history. And you know what? In an era where we are getting 3 new kits every season, I do think that at least they're trying to justify the extreme expenditure that many fans will have by putting in little nods to the city. And bearing in mind, Adidas produce loads of identikit kits every year for loads of clubs. We haven't got the trefoil logo as yet, but what we have got is not just a template. They've added some design flourishes for Forest.
Yes, and there was a trefoil.
The old-fashioned Adidas logo.
Oh, okay.
The leaves.
Okay, so all right, yeah. So the one we've got is what we call the Adidas equipment logo when it first started in the early 90s with that Liverpool kit. But so they swap around. I haven't really followed it that closely.
I believe it's elite clubs who get the trefoil. So essentially, what we need to do is win the Europa League, and then we might be entitled to it.
Yeah, maybe next season. And I've heard Adam from our podcast complaining that we don't qualify for the long sleeve shirts either. Those have to be earned these days. So, it's a nice kit, nice nod. Part of me sort of hankers back to the time where he kept a shirt for 2 seasons. That sort of really helped define an era for me. Sort of a whole team. Sort of, you think back at the 1991 Cup final shirt, and we sort of wore that for the season before as well. I think for the sort of Wembley trips, and then the bluey purpley away kit sort of defined those memorable away matches in the promotion season, and then the finishing third season. Obviously, it'll never happen again because they're the making money genie is out the bottom.
Pounds, shillings, and pence, isn't it?
Yes, but it'd be nice if they could do that, but I know they never will.
Okie doke. Let's move on from there then. So the other bit of news that we just alluded to there, and where Emilka started, was the Carabao Cup draw. Firstly, I'd just like to point out I wasn't fully watching, but I did catch a good chunk of the second half and the penalty shootout of Man United away at Grimsby. And I know this is a really cheap shot, but that was hilarious, wasn't it?
It was very, very funny. I mean, it was first half especially. It was just got comedy elements all sort of ingrained throughout it. Actually, thinking about when rainstorm came and the splashing and things, it was all great things. It's just things that guys from Brazil like Cunha had never experienced before. I'm sure.
Well, I would point out there are rainforests in Brazil. I don't know if that makes a difference.
You've never been to Grimsby or please the thoughts for the
Grimsby
the
on a
wind
Wednesday
and rain
night.
lashing in from the North Sea, and all that sort of thing. So yeah, it's good. But Grimsby had been sort of out of the public consciousness for quite a while. When we were sort of teenagers, they were quite a decent team with Alan Buckley as manager, and then Brian Laws, and they played great football. So it's nice to see them sort of having their time in the sun again. And they thoroughly deserved it. They outplayed Man United for large periods of that game.
And let's not forget, it shouldn't have gone to penalties. It should have been 3-0.
Yes. And well, once it got to penalties, you thought, wow, there's only going to be one winner here. But no, Grimsby.
I've never with my own eyes witnessed a penalty shootout which has gone to 13 penalties each either. So that was quite amusing.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I wanted to get to bed, so I was a bit annoyed. But it was. If Man U had won, it would have been very annoying. But
yeah,
thankfully Grimsby won, so it was all worth staying up and watching.
Anyway, none of this has anything to do with Forest. How do you feel about getting drawn away at Swansea?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is Snoop Dogg. Really, yes. I hope he's there. I'm sure he will be. He's a mad Jack these days, as they say. Yeah, that's all I'm sort of looking forward to. But we've got a decent squad now, so we should be able to put out a strong team for that match. It won't be easy. It never is in cup competitions, but we should hopefully go there and progress.
But you'd imagine that, especially what with the Europa League campaign, Premier League matches, this is going to be very much third on the list of priorities right now. And then if Forest is still in the Carabao Cup when the FA Cup starts, it may, who knows? Surely it's going to be a reserve team, isn't it, of sorts?
Yeah, I suppose. But I mean, you look at our squad now; they're all quality players. We've not really got that many sort of duffers in there. I mean, people who are playing sort of regularly in the first team last season will probably get a run out now as sort of the reserve team in cup competition. So, and with all those sort of wingers and attacking midfielders and strikers we've got hanging around, we can put out a really strong team in every match, I think.
Okay. On the subject of draws, as in, pulling teams out of the hat and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, we're recording this on Thursday night. And by the time, listener, you are enjoying our dulcet tones, we should know who we're playing in the Europa League. Now, as Emilka mentioned, the format of the Europa League is a little bit complicated. So, because as ever, it's about maximising the matches. So Forest are going into the league phase. We've not had to go through any kind of qualification phase. So the league phase is, I think it's 36 teams in the league phase. And the top 8 teams will qualify automatically to the round of 16. The teams who are in between 9th and 24th will have a playoff, and the winners of those playoffs advance to the round of 16. So, obviously, to reduce the number of matches, you want to try and finish top 8 if you can. We don't know who all the teams are in the Europa League just yet, but we will do by the time you're listening to this. So, yeah, I mean, I think at the time that we're recording, 26 of the teams have been confirmed, and there's some matches going on probably as we speak. Maradona, how do you feel about some of the names that we've got in the Europa League that we will be up against this campaign?
Yeah, I mean, there's some famous old European names there. So Feyenoord, Dinamo Zagreb, Leon again, so hark back to the 90s. Nice, which would be nice. Porto. You can't really. I mean, there's not really a duff team in there, is there? Yeah,
There's not. I don't know much about Victoria Plzen,
Pilsen.
But I mean, the other one that's interesting, I guess, is the two Glasgow clubs are in there, Rangers and Celtic. So it could be a bit tasty.
Yeah, I'd rather avoid those. One of my earliest memories is as a small child, being in town and it being invaded by Celtic fans. And on a Tuesday or Wednesday afternoon, I was only about 5 or 6 years old, I think, at the time, is when we played in the UEFA Cup, and it was very frightening, and all the shopkeepers are shutting their stalls and things, and going home early to avoid the mad Scotsman.
Yeah. Well,
I
there's
don't
a
know
couple
if
of
they've
things.
changed that much in 40 years. I'm not sure if they have, or you probably might know better than me. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I mean, there's a couple of things that come to my mind there. The first one is that you're giving away your age there, aren't you?
Yeah.
And then the other thing is that my father-in-law is a Celtic and Forest fan, so he will have divided loyalties when those matches come around, and I shall be quizzing him about which team he really wants to win. What about the other thing that's potentially where there's a bit of a story, I guess, is yes, we've got Villa, sure, but there's also the small matter of Olympique Lyonnais, a club with whom Forest have some recent history.
Yeah, it's the whole Crystal Palace situation, isn't it? This is why we've taken their place, even though John Texas seems to have relinquished control of both clubs now. Yeah, I fancy us against them. I saw them last season playing Man United, and they had a lot of attacking talent, but they also had Nia Cartier in defence, our old player, and so I think all of these teams they'll all have decent players, but they'll all have their flaws as well. And they might look at Forest and think the same thing. They might think, oh yeah, they've got their strong points, but they've also got their negative points where they can have a go at us. So it looks fascinating. To be honest with you, I hadn't really paid much attention to who we've been playing in this competition until just now, and it looks good. There's good teams in there. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, and some really exciting away trips for those fans who are able to get tickets, take the time off, and basically get a little mini break in the process. So it is. It's now that we're getting to that point, it's starting to feel real, I guess. And just while we recover from that bombshell, we're going to take a little break. And Maradona, is there anything you want me to get you from the bar?
Yeah, I'll have a black coffee, please.
One black coffee coming up.
Thank you.
You're listening to 1865, the Nottingham Forest podcast.
As a scientist, I can tell you that Sundays are only 24 hours long. But with NFL Sunday Ticket and YouTube TV, you get every game every Sunday all in one place. That's upwards of 30 hours of NFL in one day. How can there be 30 hours in 24 hours, you ask? I have a theory. Magic. New users get NFL Sunday Ticket for 8 payments of $34.50 per month. Sign up at NFLSundayTicket.com. Local and national games on YouTube TV. NFL Sunday Ticket for out-of-market games excludes digital-only games and commercial use. Terms and embargoes apply. Availability varies.
Welcome to Yates's Espresso Bar.
Welcome back to Yates's Espresso Bar, an 1865 podcast with me, Rich, and him, the Maradona of the Midlands. Now, Maradona, just to go on with a few bits and pieces, the big news really is, there's two chunks of news that Emilka brought us. Just briefly, I do want to touch upon the Crystal Palace match. You touched upon it at the start. as we said, do check out the match report, which is in our feeds. If you go to 1865.football, you will see all the links to how you can listen to our podcast, plunder our archives, and indeed engage with us on a variety of social media. But I want to ask you about that banner. So now that the dust has settled a little bit, there was the usual amount, I guess, of opprobrium from Forest supporters. The club are supposed to be furious, and the phone is ringing. That's how exciting it is. People are calling in with their views. So I am just going to ask you, Maradona, what's your views on that banner?
Well, I don't take it quite as seriously as everybody else seems to have done. I thought it was a bit of fun, wasn't it? It was sort of in the spirit of the old football fanzines. It's what football fans do. They take a dig at each other and especially the people in power. And so, okay, I mean, it said some rude things, sort of bordering on libelous, I guess, against our owner. But you've got to have a sense of humour about these things. So the things they've mentioned are things we've also mentioned on this very podcast down the years, and it's sort of pretty open public knowledge or in the public domain for debate. In an ideal world, maybe they wouldn't do that, and some stewards would have stopped them. But now that they have, I don't think we need to get too worked up about it. It's just a bit of fun.
Did it cross the line?
Maybe, but I think if you're a billionaire, you can take a few jibes, can't you? I think you've got to. We've taken their Europa League place. At least we can do is let them have a little bit of fun at our expense, and it's nothing serious, is it? Nobody.
I would say that Evangelos Marinakis, he gets sensitive when his clubs and his businesses are threatened. But I should imagine that as a person, you don't get to where he is without basically brushing stuff off. I'd imagine in when it comes to those kinds of things, he'll be annoyed, but he'll also, in some ways, have the hide of a rhino.
I think so, and I think he'll maybe respect it a little bit as well, coming from a Greek football culture background where they do much more serious things than that towards each other. I think it's all added to the colour of the game, isn't it? It's nothing to get too worked up about. It was quite amusing in its own way.
Okay, and then we move on to, I suppose, the big story in terms of what the next few days are going to look like, which is the transfer window. Nuno obviously has gone on record as saying he wants a keeper and a pair of fullbacks. Do you think we're going to see players out as well? There's talk about West Ham having an interest in Sangare. I'd be a little bit surprised if Forest let him go, especially to another Premier League club.
Yeah, I mean, it would leave us sort of back to the sort of numbers we were at the beginning of the summer after Danilo left. So we would be a bit short again if there was an injury crisis in midfield. It'd be a pity just to see him go because he's just only really just started to play well for Forest after sort of 2 stop-start seasons. He's only just started to show what he can do. So in that respect, it would be a pity to see him go. I'd probably like to see him stay as well, just bulk up the quality of our squad in numbers and also just in the quality of his play. It's if we want to go for various competitions this season, sort of finish as high as we can and do well in the Europa League and the FA Cup and what have you, we're going to need lots of quality players. So I'd like to keep him.
Yeah, I think some people have sort of said now that Douglas Luiz has come in, obviously Nico Dominguez to come back at some point, but I still think we're going to need everyone, aren't we? We really are. What about, having said that, there are players who've fallen down the pecking order with the recent signings, the most obvious ones being Jota Silva and Taiwo Awoniyi. Can you see either of them moving on?
I think the club are actively trying to move them on. The slight difference between them and Sangare is that when they did come on towards the end of last season, they weren't really having an impact. So even if they were at the club, I don't think we'd expect great things from them. So it's just a good reason, I suppose, to move them on, just for their own playing careers as much as anything, especially in Taiwo's case. He's not played a lot of football in the last couple of years. and just to get the wages off the wage bill as well. I can imagine there wouldn't be much fun to not even make the bench every week for those two guys, having been sort of part of the first team last season. So probably good to move them on. There's sort of, Taiwo would be like fourth choice, and Jota would be sort of fourth choice as well. Fifth choice, hardly ever play, so probably not good value for money to keep them. And if we can get a transfer fee in as well, all the better.
I wonder if Jota in particular, it may hinge a little bit upon whether the fullbacks that we do or don't sign. I wonder if Jota might be pressed into action otherwise as an emergency right back or an emergency wing back if we don't manage to get the bodies in through the door.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a real emergency if he's playing there. I mean, for all his qualities, I don't know that playing as a wing back or a fullback is really his game. I don't know if you can rely on his defensive discipline in those positions.
Yeah. I think that there's probably an argument there. The other thing, and I put this to you last week as a kind of a cheeky question, just because obviously the situation with Newcastle was, I wonder if Newcastle would turn to Taiwo as their kind of answer. But actually, now I'm going to ask a slightly different question, which is that as Newcastle seem to be really in hot pursuit of Jurgen Strand-Larsen, who's only just signed permanently for Wolves. Wolves are in line to nearly double their money if they hold out for a good fee. And do you think that actually Taiwo could end up going somewhere like Wolves and being their number 9?
Well, I think breaking news: Newcastle have actually agreed a deal to sign the German striker who did so well for Germany in the under-21s during the European. That's right. Yes. So he's coming in for £65 million, I believe. So that seems to rule out the Strand-Larsen thing. I don't think Wolves will sell him whatever the money is. I think if they do, they're basically signing their own death warrant in terms of getting relegated. I think he's so vital to them. I can't see that they've got really any of the goals in that squad, and it's going to be a struggle for them anyway. So I think they've got to keep him. I think more realistic for Taiwo is moving somewhere like France or Germany. I can't see. I mean, I would have said that he'd be ideal for one of the promoted clubs, but none of them seem to have showed any interest in him. So I think maybe France or Germany, somewhere like that would be good for him.
Oh, you know what? Actually, he could have gone to Leeds, couldn't he?
He could have gone to Leeds. So I mean, Sunderland have bought everybody, so it's a bit rude of them not to sign Taiwo. And I can even see him fitting in well at Burnley. It just I can see him fitting into all three of those teams, but they've got their own ideas, I guess. They're not asking me.
Well, maybe it's down to wages, isn't it? Because he's been on Premier League wages for 3 years now, and let's not forget though that Taiwo was an incredibly important player in that first couple of seasons back, and he was our record signing for quite a little while, wasn't he? Until we signed Gibbs White, I guess. But
yes.
But yeah, he was a record signing at the time. So I think it's one of those things, isn't it? With injuries, and he's 28 now, so I think you'd kind of say with his recent injury record, the best chance for him to have a good career is to move on and get a chance to get some good minutes at another club. Let's talk about the hunt for fullbacks. So David Ornstein was reporting a few days ago that at left back they were thinking about Joachim Seys of Bruges or Victor Christensen of Leicester, and on the right hand side, Nahuel Molina, and I apologise if I pronounced that wrong, Argentinian pronunciation fans, and then I've really set myself up for this one, RB Leipzig's Lucharel Geertruida. Now, I've got to be honest, I don't know much about many of those players apart from Christensen, because I've obviously seen him playing in the English game. But Seys is highly recommended. I don't know much about either of the right backs. And then just to add to that, I will also mention that Forest, according to some sources, have agreed to sign a Nicolo Savona from Juventus, who would be able to play. I think he primarily plays as a wing back, but you know what? I think it's about, again, getting bodies in, and young player, playing for Juventus, it's good pedigree, even if we don't know much about him as a player.
Yeah, I mean, well, as you say, Christensen, we know most about, and I can go on the record saying he's rubbish, so I wouldn't want him, really. I did see Joaquin Seys playing last night. He got a couple of goals against Rangers. Okay, it's against Rangers, and they're like a mid-table championship team at best, but
managed by Russell Martin.
Yeah, Russell Martin. But he looked good. I'd be surprised though if we managed to sign him, because they apparently raised something like 80 million euros already this summer, and now they've got Champions League money, they're not going to be looking to sell their players. The other two players, I don't really know anything about those, so I won't comment. But it would be nice to have Molina here. We call him Al Molina. That'd be nice. I
was going to go for
nice
Alf.
Touch. Alf, yeah, maybe, yeah.
Yeah. Anywho, so, but I mean, everyone's in agreement that we definitely need more. If nothing else, Ola's going to AFCON, and I wouldn't trust Ola and Nico to play more. It wouldn't be fair to ask them to play more than 35 games a season anyway, and even if we get two other fullbacks in, there's going to be enough games for everyone to get a good go, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, it was at the beginning of the season. You would have said when Toffolo and I've forgotten his name. I've gone back to Aston Villa.
Moreno,
when they left, the priority, one of the priorities were at least one fullback, probably two. We've probably gone much more in an attacking sense, more attacking players than we could have actually dreamt of at the beginning of the transfer window. We maybe thought one striker and one winger was all we'd be able to afford, and then we'd have to bring in the full-backs and a centre-half. But we've done fantastically well to sort of fill the attacking positions. So it is just that sort of backup goalkeeper now. I saw rumours that we were after the Fenerbahce goalkeeper. He's a Ukrainian international. I can't remember his name now. But a goalkeeper and a couple of
Livakovic.
That's right. That's bless you. That's it. That is it. If we get those sort of three positions sorted, I think we've got to be looking at a really, really strong season. We've got to really, and I think that's probably part of the reason why the sort of Nuno fallout's come out as well. He's probably been put under pressure from above to say that, well, we want to match last season and go better. And he's probably just feeling stressed a little bit, old Nuno, and causes eruption.
To go full circle back to where we started, though, everything to do with... let's just say that there's always got to be a level of chaos, hasn't there? And that's the way that things are done for our owner. There's a level of chaos and a level of kind of pressure, and I think Nuno knows that, and this is his own way of trying to kind of respond to it, whether it is well advised or not. So anyway, I'm going to say thank you very much to you, Maradona the Midlands. I can see you're jiggling in your chair, so that black coffee's obviously gone right through you. In the meantime, just to finish with a little bit of breaking news, it's now been reported that the Savona deal to sign him from Juventus is for 15 million euros, which is about 12 million quid. And Juventus general manager Damian Comolli has confirmed that a deal has been reached. So it's expected to be a 5-year contract. So it looks as though that one is likely to go through. And the other goalkeeper that we're hearing about is David Soria of Getafe, who could be a target to supply competition and backup to Matt Sells. So that's a nice place to leave it. I want to say thank you very much to Maradona the Midlands once again. Thank you to Emilka at the news desk. I've been Rich Ferraro. Thank you very much for listening. We'll be back after the West Ham match on Sunday with our match reports. And in the meantime, come on you Reds.
You've been listening to 1865, the Nottingham Forest podcast. If you like what you hear, please subscribe and leave us a review. It helps other listeners find our content.
podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Popsicles, sprinklers, a cool breeze. Talk about refreshing. You know what else is refreshing this summer? A brand new phone with Verizon. Yep, get a new phone on any plan with Select Phone Trade-in and My Plan. And lock down a low price for 3 years on any plan with My Plan. This is a deal for everyone, whether you're a new or existing customer. Swing by Verizon today for our best phone deals. 3-year price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate only. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.